Hi, this is Genoveva Rossi, and you're watching the 13th Wolfman.
Hey everyone, I'm the 13th Wolfman. You know what? I got my very first guest I ever interviewed back, Genoveva. She's back. Genoveva Rossi's back to sit down. Welcome, Genevivas.
Thank you
Genevivas.
so much for having me on. I remember how we started, like, the whole idea for your show. We had been talking about how you were doing reviews, and I was like, you should do an interview show. And you were like, sure. And then you did
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, it was more like, well, I'm not set up for that, but I could look into it. And of course, I asked Leo over at the Dorkening. It's like, hey, what kind of software do I need? He's like, I can record it for you. Sit down was born.
There you go. And it ended up being probably easier than you thought. So that's really cool that you ended up doing this. And then now, how long have you been doing it now?
It was a year in September, like September 29th was like a year.
Wow. So there you go.
So
It seems like you've had a lot of really exciting guests on, so I'm really happy for you. And thank you so much for having me on again.
I've been lucky to have you on a few times. One time with Robert Mukes, which was
Oh,
fun.
I just saw Robert Mukes in November at the Martinsville Horror Fest. It was me, Robert Mukes, Linnea Quigley, Kane Hodder. It was great to see Robert again. He is such a nice guy. It's always a pleasure to see him, you know?
Now you're back because not only are I mean, you're an actress, but now you're stepping behind the camera.
Yeah, that's true. I filmed, wrote, directed, and produced and starred in my first short film, Attack of the Killer Chickens.
Yeah.
I know I sent you guys over the screener for you to check out. It's only 7 minutes short. We were just at the Northeast Horror Film Festival that my friend Larry Rosen hosts, and it was nominated for Best Screenplay. So that was really exciting to get a nomination. We were beat out by a really great director. She had done a feature called A Cry from Within, starring Eric Roberts. So we had stiff competition. So
Yeah.
I can't begrudge her winning. I watched her feature with Eric Roberts and I loved it. It was amazing. So, but we were in really good company. It was really an honor to be part of that film festival. We've had Attack of the Killer Chicken screening at a few film festivals and horror conventions and all that, and we had a really good time with it. So I wrote it. I've done some writing in the past. I was an English major and a journalism minor in college. I write for Malevolent magazine for over a year now. I think like at least a year and a half. But this was my first time writing something that was comedic horror. So that was a little different.
So it's being well received. And what's the next step? Are you going to expand on this? Are you going to try to turn this into a feature?
That is a really good question right now, and you can give me your feedback. I'm a little split because it was my first time writing and directing, so I kind of want to do a few shorts and then go into a feature. But a lot of people, after seeing Attack of the Killer Chickens, would like to see me turn it into a feature. And that's
I
been the reviews, that's been the feedback from people like Larry Rosen at the film festivals. A lot of people would like to see it turn into a feature.
I could see it as a feature. If you want to get write direct a few more shorts, and while you're doing that, try to expand upon the universe that is Attack of the Killer Chickens.
Yeah, maybe I'll do a couple shorts and then put them all together into a feature. Maybe that's the thing to
There
do.
you go.
There you go. And then
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, we already have the puppets that Rocco George made for Attack of the Killer Chickens. We already have a great group of actors who I'd love to use again. And I think we already have pretty much the idea. The first 7 minutes could be the beginning of a feature. We're already setting up our characters, we're setting up our story, and then it can really take us anywhere. And that was kind of something I was thinking a little bit when I wrote it, that the 7 minutes was a little bit, it serves almost as like a teaser as to what I think I could do later with it. I already have a whole story arc in my mind for Attack of the Killer Chickens of where it could go.
Yeah, that's great. So, do you find it harder being in front of or behind the camera?
Well, the thing that was really challenging, I think, with directing was getting everyone to listen to me. Because it is a little different, because, usually when I'm on set, I'm the kind of person that's like, you're the director. If you say jump, I'm going to ask you how high. And whatever you say goes, because you're the director, you're the captain of the ship, and we're going wherever you want the ship to go. And even if I think something you tell me is maybe wrong, I might give you my opinion, but in the end, you're the director and it's up to you. And then being the director, you're the captain of this ship. It's your project. Everything is kind of on you, and that can be really challenging. And you want to make sure that everything kind of falls in line with that, and that you stay true to your own creative vision. And then it was a little challenging, I think, both directing and acting because it's my first time directing and also directing myself in my own scenes. I watched every scene on playback right after we shot it before we moved on, you know, so that was really, really helpful. And it was just interesting the whole dynamic of being the person in charge rather than just being the simple actor, you know?
So did you call up James Balsamo and ask him how he directs himself?
That's a good question. I don't think I took advice from anyone. No, I don't think I talked too much about James about it beforehand. James, I would have loved to have used for the film, and maybe I'll use him in the feature because I love James and I love him as a comedic actor, especially. He brings a lot to the table. He's great at improvising and all that stuff. But I end up using people that were all very local to me to make life a little easier. Everybody was extremely local to each other, and everybody that I cast had a lot of different skill sets they brought to the table. So it ended up being really like a real team effort. And I'm going to say like Rocco George played three chicken characters, plus he played Vinny, and he made the chicken. So wow, he brought a lot to the table, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, right? And Nick Petito, he was our newscaster character, but then he was also a cinematographer, gaffer, lighter, cameraman, sound, and editor. So he brought a lot to the table. He wore a lot of hats, or I like to say a lot of chickens, you know? And then Pamela Martin, who plays my lover, she helped produce. She was part of the creative process with me when I first was writing it. And she did a lot of the paperwork that was involved with the film and a lot of the organization, and then she acted in it, so she wore a lot of hats. KJ, who's kind of our token black character at the end, he calls himself a token black character anyway. He played some of the puppets as well. He acted. He was our location manager. He was involved with a lot of different things, even some of our costume and set design. So, and then Edward X. Young, was acting.
Well,
He played a chicken at one point too.
yeah, Edward X. Young is probably one of the more famous independent actors over in the New York area because he's in a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. We met at Fangora years ago, and we've now been in 17 films together. We just did our 17th film in Virginia.
Wow.
So that's really exciting. I think that's called Running Away from the Unknown. We're both in that together. So 17 films, Ed and I. I think of Ed as being like a real kindred spirit. He's one of the few people I know that has the same level of commitment and passion to the horror genre that I possess. And it just makes sense that we've worked together so many times. So when it came time to cast Attack of the Killer Chickens, Ed was in the hospital. He had just gotten into a car accident. And
I remember hearing about that.
yeah, he had broken his
Yeah.
arm, fractured his sternum, and broke some ribs. And I wrote him a part that he would be able to do that was all about his comedic and acting chops that wasn't very physical. And that was one of the first things he shot after the accident, which I think really helped to put him in a good mood because it was like a horror comedy. And he was like, wow, he's like, this is a really good part. This is really zany. He's like, I like this. It's more comedic than he usually does, but he was really up for the challenge, and I thought he really nailed the part. So I'm glad I brought him aboard. Yeah, Ed and yeah. So that was 16, I think, was Attack of the Killer Chickens, and then we just did our 17th film together. We also do a lot of guest appearances together. We did the Mr. Hush convention. We did Martinsville Horror Fest together. We did Bizarre AC together. We did Chiller together. And we did a four-state slasher con together. It always seems like Ed and I are at the same conventions as guests, and we're in the same movies. And then we also hang out. Sometimes I go see him play with his band. We go to karaoke together. I consider Ed to be a very good friend. He's a really supportive and good guy. He came out to the film festival for Attack of the Killer Chickens. We had some great pictures. He was super stoked that he was in a film that was nominated for an award. And for me, it was a real honor to be nominated for Best Screenplay because it was my first time writing a screenplay and my first time directing. So just to get that nomination, it was a very prestigious film festival as well. Really meant a lot to everybody involved. And I'm really thankful for everybody helping us out. We also had this wonderful guy named James that composed our music for the film. In fact, it was the same composer that did the music for Not Another Bad Horror Flick. Um,
Oh,
yeah, the same music for Attack of the Killer Chickens, but the same composer we used because I liked his work so much in Not Another Bad Horror Flick that Bridget Machete directed that I decided to use the same composer for Attack of the Killer Chickens. So,
yeah.
really amazing.
And so you've done Attack of the Killer Chickens, written, directed. What else have you worked on?
What I've been doing lately? That's a good question. I did one called Running Away from the Unknown. That was a great film. I did that out in Virginia with my friend Dominic, who played Skippy in Toxic Avenger. And that was great. I had a lot of fun doing that. We had a whole bunch of cast members from The Walking Dead in that were also guests at Martinsville Horror Fest. So we all pitched and we shot that while we were at the convention. So that was great. And then I worked with Matt Burns on a film out in West Virginia very recently called Dead Men Tell No Tales. You may have seen the pictures in an animal print bra and panties, covered in
Oh,
blood, holding a
yeah.
chainsaw. And I was offered that part literally a couple weeks after Gunnar Hansen passed away, and he's really a true horror icon. I can't look at a bloody chainsaw and not think of Gunnar, in fact. So it was really an honor for me to be cast in a film where I'd be running around with a chainsaw of my very own and I would be killing people. It's not the kind of role that you get all the time as a woman. And I do like to take roles that are a little different. I had some on-set training. I had never held or used a chainsaw before, so I had to learn that real quick when I got there. And then we shot my scenes, and I had a lot of fun. So I think that film is due to come out actually in February. Dead Men Tell No Tales, and that's directed by Dusty Fleischman, and Jenny Janetti's in it, and myself, and a whole bunch of great horror people. And that was shot in West Virginia, so we had a really great time with that. Wow! And then recently, Bite School was just in Horror Hound magazine,
Night
and
School,
then I heard
James.
Catch of the Day was also in Hound magazine as well. And then I know, that's amazing. So, working with James is always great because I have a cameo in Catch of the Day. I have a cameo in Bite School. Always great.
Leo and Kevin from the Dorkening. They're both in Bite School too.
Exactly. And
So
Bite School, I saw it, and I thought it was amazing. I think it's one of James's best work, to date. I
yeah,
think it came out amazing. I love the camera work. I love the sound. I think it has a great. It's hilarious. It has a hilarious sense of humor, and I'm glad to be in it as Socorella, with my red wig and all. And I had a lot of fun shooting that with James too. It's always great working with James. James is one of those directors that I've worked with since the beginning. Since we worked on Jacko Slasher, and then
yes,
we went right into I Spill Your Guts together. And we've had this relationship where I both acted in his films and also I've acted with him in so many films. And he's a friend too, and we run into each other at conventions a lot where we're both making guest appearances. We talk online a lot and on the phone, and he's just really like a great guy. He has such imagination. It's always like a lot of fun to work with him, and I love the horror comedy genre. And you can tell by my film Attack of the Killer Chickens because Attack of the Killer Chickens really pays homage to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes,
right.
to Plan 9 from Outer Space, to For the Birds by Hitchcock, Pink Flamingos by John Waters, Planet the Apes, and all these wacky movies that I grew up just like loving. And I love being in these cheesy movies, and I just wanted to be in a movie that I made myself that was super duper cheesy too, and get everybody else involved. And we really had a lot of fun shooting Attack of the Killer Chickens. All the people in that are really good friends of mine, people I've worked with many times. And what else am I working on? Gosh, I'm probably going to be going out to shoot Killer Waves with James pretty soon. I just actually spoke to him about that maybe an hour or so ago. So, and he was just shooting that out in LA recently, so that's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
exciting. I'm super happy for him, and I think that looks really, really great. He has a great cast of people. He has a great storyline, and he always has that enthusiasm and passion that he brings to everything. So that's really exciting. I also just shot Teresa and Allison. I play a victim in that, which is something I don't get to play too often. That's directed by Jeremiah Kipp and produced by Charles LaPella. It's a lesbian vampire story. And sometimes I think maybe I just ended up in that movie because I wanted to make out with a girl. I don't know. It had been a while. So that was something that was a lot of fun to do too. I had also done on Jeremiah Kipp's Black Wake, a while before that, starring Tom Sizemore and Eric Roberts. I play a sea monster in that one.
Oh,
And
right.
yeah, so it's always great working with Jeremiah Kipp. We were also worked together on the Fear web series that Scott Perry produced, and Jeremiah directed me in Fear of Blindness, which is really was a beautiful experience for me. I've been friends with Susan Adrianson, the actress, for years, and we finally got to act together in that film. So that was really nice to, to finally, because you're friends with other actors and actresses, but how often you actually get to share scenes together and actually act together, and that's really like a lot of fun. I had a really good time with that.
Well, it
Uh,
sounds like you've had a blast. I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but we have to get ready for the 6 o'clock show.
okay,
You know,
9 o'clock. Oh, six
yeah,
o'clock for you guys.
6 o'clock my time. I'm a West Coast boy.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, you're far away. Where are you, Wolfie?
Washington.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm here in New Jersey, and that's why I'm wearing animal print.
Is that
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Whenever I travel, I always feel like that scene in My Cousin Vinny when Marissa Tomei and Joe Pesci get out of the car, and he's like, "All right, blend in." She's like, "Blend in."
So if people want to follow you and keep in touch with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Genoveva Rossi, Genoveva Rossi, Rossi. I have a public page and I have a private page. You can find me on Twitter, Genoveva Rossi 810, and I'm also on Google Plus. And I think after I get off today, I'm gonna go onto Instagram.
Thank you for coming on. You're such a doll to talk to. I mean, I love talking to you. I would do it all day, but
Oh, it's always great to talk to you too because I love talking to other horror fans, and fans of my work and just fans of the genre in general. And thank you so much for the support.
always. With that, I'm the 13th Wolfman. I'm on the prowl.